Hey friends, thanks for clicking on my video here. This is going to be all things line art. I'll take you through my full process here. As you can see, I've already started a sketch here. So I'm just assuming that you've already got your sketch done, and we're going to be focusing on the final line art. So as you can see, I was playing around with that sketchy set that is not included in Procreate, but I'll show you some really great brushes that are great for line art that are included in Procreate already. So we want something that looks like the one that you just saw, that squiggle. We want it to look tapered at the end and very pressure sensitive. So as you can see, I'm using short strokes here, and I want it to look like it is all one line. That is key. So you'll want something that really tapers at the end, so that if you do have to draw a part in shorter strokes, it looks cohesive. So as you can see on my sketch here, you can already see there's some dominant sketched lines, some thinner sketched lines. So I've already kind of mapped that out for myself. Now I'm going to create a new layer over top of this sketch here. I don't usually title them. I'm usually lazy, but I will for you guys in this video. I'm turning my sketch to about half opacity, a little bit less, so that it's not too distracting for me. Perfect. And now I can go ahead and start my line art. Alright, so back to brushes. Now, I really love this sketchy set by Alicia. It's amazing. I use it for most of my artwork. It just does the trick for me. But like I said, there's tons of great ones that are included in Procreate. I'm showing you one that's more of a sketchy look. It looks a little more rough, a little more hand-drawn, which is a great style, and I do use that for some art. But I'm looking for something a little more cleaner. So this one is usually the one that I go for, because it's nice and heavy, but it tapers and is pressure sensitive. All the things, checking off all of the things. Now, as you can see, this one is also kind of a sketchy look. That's the Monoline Pencil. That one is included. If you wanted something less sketchy and a little more precise, you could go into the pens here, because there's no jittering, and it's nice and smooth. Very good look. This one's definitely a great one. But if that is still not really what you're looking for, I'd also recommend the Monoline Pencil. This pencil is amazing for a very clean look and almost like a cartoony look, because it's going to be staying the same size no matter the pressure. I hope that squiggle showed enough that it stays the same pressure. But I am going to stick with my sketchy set today. Now I'm going to play around with it a little bit here, to show you guys, because it really is like your look is very much dependent on the medium that you pick. So it is important. You can't just pick any brush on here. I mean, you could, but if you are trying to achieve a very clean line art look, you do have to play around a little bit and find the one for you. Now, I've gone ahead and into the settings of my favorite brush because I want to taper it even more. So I've gone into the brush settings, and I'm going to play around until I find the look that I'm trying to achieve here. Now you can see I'm turning that way down, and I just wanted to show you guys that this would make it a little more rough if I turn down the streamline. You see that it's much more jagged and rigid. It's not really what I want. I want something that will stay steady. So all I'm doing here is just playing around, trying to find exactly that happy spot. So as you can see, when I pulled up the streamline all the way, it doesn't give me too much room to play around. It's kind of forcing me in one direction, so I definitely don't want that. I'm going to probably keep it right here in the middle. That looks pretty good to me because it helps me to keep the line steady, but I can still, you know, if I want it to be jagged, I can make it jagged. Now I'm playing around with the fall off. The fall off is going to be important because, as you can see, when I lift off my pencil there, it tapers at the end. And that tapering is going to be key to the line art looking like it's been drawn just with one big stroke, like I never lifted the pen off of the iPad. That is exactly what we're looking for. We don't want there to be a ton of spots that people can point out and see where the pen was lifted, because it kind of takes away from the object, right? So especially for a portrait. So I'm pretty happy with the fall off and the streamline, and I'm going to go ahead and start drawing on the body. So you might have seen my two fingers wagging around there. That was just me showing you that that's a quick way to erase if you didn't know on Procreate, and I do it real often, as you'll see in this video. So I'm kind of just zooming in here because I want a little more control on the face here. And you can see I'm going over this line, and I'm making it just a bit thicker because this is where a shadow would be casted. So typically I try to draw the line art a little bit thicker where I think there would be a shadow casting. You can see that it tapers very skinny, like a barely there at the end. So now I'm just going to finish up on the body here, and now I'll kind of show you more how I'm doing the curves. So you can see here that I kind of try to do it in a big stroke, and then for the curves, that's where I'll kind of use a smaller stroke, and that's where the tapering really helps us out, because it won't look like we've lifted the pencil off, but we still get that illusion of where the object ends, if you know what I mean. When it's tapered like that, we know that that section of the body is separate. And I'm using like pretty thick, heavy hand here on the top of the eye, because the base line of the top of the eye typically is a bit thicker because of those lashes. And I like to do the top of the eye first, just because it gives me more of a guide. Now you'll see I'm going very light, and I'm doing little strokes at the bottom of the eye because it's something more detailed and intricate. So typically things that are intricate and small, I do a light hand with. Now I'm gonna go ahead to try and merge the thick line and the small line together, make it look a little more seamless. We don't want it to be too much of a juxtaposition next to each other. And now I'm gonna go ahead and do the tear duct very, very lightly, almost like it's not there, because if we think about our tear ducts, we don't really see where the tear duct ends or starts. It kind of just looks natural to the eye. Now I'm doing the waterline here, again, very, very lightly, because the waterline is not something that's prominent on the eye. What's usually the center of attention on the eye is the lashes and the iris and the pupil. So those will be drawn with just a bit of a heavier hand. But I'm just going and doing the other eye. As you see, I haven't done the iris or the pupils yet because I like to go back and forth between the two eyes and make sure that they look symmetrical. Now, my eyes that I draw, they're not exactly the same, but I think that gives more of a realistic look. Now I'm going in and drawing that iris and the pupil there. And as you saw there, I cheated a little bit. I say cheated, but it's really not. I'm just using the tools. I made that pupil a perfect sphere, perfect circle, just so I don't have to mess around and play with it. Work smarter, not harder, you know? And so now you can see that in the eyelids there, I've done quite a heavy line. That is because of, remember when we did the chin area, it's because that was where a shadow would be casted, right? That's where we're showing some depth there, right? And now I'm just doing the mouth here. Again, very, very light. I have pinched out the screen because if you are zoomed in on just one thing and looking at the detail of just that one thing, you kind of lose the perspective, and you might zoom out and realize you spent all that time on that one little thing and it looks wonky. That's not what we want. So we always need to keep the whole image in mind, and where we want to draw the eye and where we not so much want to draw attention. Again, the bottom of the lip is where you'd see a little bit of a shadow casted, so a heavier hand on the bottom lip, and in the corners to show the little smile lines. That's where it would there would be a little bit of depth in the face. So now I'm looking at the overall, just seeing how it looks, if it looks cohesive. I don't want it to look like it's like a totally different person or that drew the face to the body, or I don't want to look like it's a totally different brush, right? So now we're moving on, and I already did the little bunny there, the little prop. I didn't feel like I needed to show that just because you might not have a prop in yours. So I just skipped right on to hair. So hair is something that's very complex, and honestly I used to hate drawing hair, but now I love drawing hair. So I'm going to give you some tips here. As you can see, I'm drawing very lightly from the very root of the head. That is because it's almost like it blends in, right? And you can see I'm drawing upwards as well, because hair does grow upwards, and then because of gravity it falls down, right? So it looks a little more realistic. Hair is great because there's not too many rules to drawing hair, and you get to really experiment with how you like the hair to look, where you want the line to be thin, where you want it to be thick. See as you can see, I like to have the top of the head, top of the hair there, thicker, and then as we get to the bottom, I taper it out, and it's very thin, and you'll see that I pick my pen off of the iPad pretty quickly in like a very like swift motion, because I want it to, well, the way that I'm moving my hand is almost like I'm mimicking the curve of the hair and how the hair kind of splits off and it goes in different directions, and it's not perfect, so hair is never perfect, so it's a lot of fun to just kind of play around with it, right? But yeah, typically what I do is keeping it pretty heavy at the top of the head there, and then at the bottom of the hair, I keep it extremely light hand to the point that it's almost like a ghost line. It almost looks like I've lowered the opacity. Now I'm just doing the little eyebrow hairs. I like to do quick little strokes here. So now I'm just adding in the last bit of details here, and then I'm going to show you what it looks like, the full body with the line art, without the sketch in the background. So this is what it looks like. I'm really happy with how it turned out, and I hope that my tips help you out. I hope that you guys have fun with trying out my tips, and it helps you achieve the look you're going for. But that is really it for this tutorial. Let me know if there's any way I could improve them or make them easier for you guys. Thanks so much for watching. Bye!